Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining this webinar. I'm going to take about 20 minutes of your time just to talk through the indicators, the new indicators that we're including in reports for Progress Test in English and Progress Test in Maths. Before I start talking about the new indicators, just very quickly to recap what you will have seen up to now, because I think it's important we explain the difference. So up until now, the indicators that you've seen in your reports have been concurrent indicators, and that means they reflect the performance of the pupil at the time they are assessed with our English or our Maths tests. The indicators have been given as levels, and we have included levels up to Key Stage 3. And these have been based on teacher assessment. So in the case of Progress Test in English and Progress Test in Maths, when we standardised the tests in 2014, we collected this data and it's based on teacher assessment. Up until now, we've not been able to give an indicator for GCSE. So this is changing from this year onwards. So if we look initially at the primary indicators, what we have done is we have produced indicators that give a predictive measure of what children might achieve in their Key Stage 2 SATs tests. So these are based on the new scaled score. They will be available in the reports from level 7 to level 11. And for English, we have been able to give two indicators, one for the spelling, punctuation and grammar, and a separate one for reading comprehension. And that's because PTE is actually divided into two parts, so that's enabled us to do that. And there is just a single indicator for the maths. And here's an example of what the report will look like. So here you've got an English report. It's taken from the individual student report for teachers, and you can see there that we have got English skills, the SPAG, that's based on the English skills part of PTE, and then we've got a separate scaled score showing for reading comprehension. So that's the split that I was talking about there. Here it is in Maths, again, just to show you, again, from the individual student report for teachers, and that's that single indicator there. For secondary, from the transfer test, which is 11T, to level 14, there will be an indicator for GCSE, and these will be shown both as grades and with the new 1 to 9 reporting system. That will be shown in all reports. And it's a single indicator for English and for Maths, and for English, it's English language, just to be clear there. So again, I can show you what that looks like. So here you can see, again, from an individual student report for teachers, you can see A/H. So it'll be displayed in that way wherever that indicator appears, and of course it appears across all of the reports. And we had a few questions in advance, and one question was about the methodology behind these indicators for GCSE. Obviously, this is the first year when students will be tested and graded under the new system, but the DFE very helpfully produced some equivalence information. So we have used that to enable us to show the two different systems side by side. So I think that's really pretty reliable, but obviously as students come through taking their GCSEs with the 1 to 9 system, we will be reviewing that data every year. With the SATs, obviously we had children taking the SATs last year, and we were able to use live data from schools that had used our tests and could supply us with some of that data from last year's. Again, that will be reviewed year on year. And I have to say at the moment we're seeing 0.8 and above reliability for these indicators, which is really very, very pleasing. This just shows you again the GCSE indicators, in this case for English, how they are displayed as part of the group report for teachers. I have a question here about levels, and it will be possible for those schools, and I know a lot of our international colleagues are still working with levels. For those schools that want to look at levels as well, it is actually possible to do that. The default setting will be the SATs scale score and GCSE. So that's what you will see automatically when you run your reports. There is a way of going in and changing that setting and running a second report, and that will show you levels. Just a slight danger here is if you don't then undo that selection, levels will become the default setting. So you just have to remember to go back to the original default setting to see the scale scores and the GCSEs. So if anybody's listening from Wales and Northern Ireland, the information I'm giving now does not apply there because clearly the children are not taking SATs in those countries, but you will see the GCSE indicator. Unfortunately, if anyone's listening from Scotland, we don't have any indicator data at the moment, but we're looking to add that over time. I've had another question here about rerunning reports to get this updated information, and that is possible. If you are a paper customer, these indicators are available now, and we are working to include the new information in our digital report. Once it's there, so for example, if you've already tested this year, you can go back in and you can rerun your report, and that will update the indicator information. So you will see the SAT scale score or the GCSE. For those of you who are using the digital test, there are a couple of things that you might like to do as an interim arrangement. I'm going to try and link to our website. So we've produced a simple lookup table which will enable you to look at your student scores and look at the correlation with the SAT scale scores. And also there's a workbook that if you are working with the CSV report, or if you're a cluster, you've got a cluster report, you can do a cut and paste and generate these indicators. This is being recorded, and we can certainly send those links out to people who want to have a look at it. It just gives you something as an interim arrangement. I've had a question also about value added. We don't generate a measure of value added in the reports at the moment, but what we do is between levels we track progress. So if you are starting with the test for Key Stage 1 and going right the way through to the end of the series, you will be able to see progress tracked from level to level, and we indicate that as expected, higher than expected, or lower than expected, much higher or much lower than expected, and you will see that in the reports year on year as you work through the series. One other question I've had, and that's about CAT. Yes, we are adding these indicators into CAT, and they will be ready for the autumn term. Very much in the same way, we will be looking at the end of Key Stage 2 and GCSE as well. GCSE is already there, but we will be doing a refresh based on some more recent data. So that will be available in the autumn. That's all I had to say. This has been recorded, and a link will be sent round to you if you want to review what I've said. If you do think of anything that you want to ask, please just email. So the address is interest@gl-assessment.co.uk. So if you think of anything you want to ask, please just email and we'll get straight back to you. Thank you very much.